A former chief operating officer at the Ministry of Defence. He's now director of the private firm Strategic Defence Initiatives UK. David, thanks for joining us.
Hi, yeah, a bit of a correction there. So nothing to do with the MOD. I spent most of my time challenging what the government are doing. So if you want to come at it from...
I thought you were the former chief operating officer at the Ministry of Defence, no?
No.
Oh, I've no idea.
I don't know where you got that from.
I believe my producer checked the job title with you, but there we are. Right.
If I did, it'd be a promotion, wouldn't it? Thank you.
Okay, I give up. Anyway, let's ignore that side if we can get that corrected when I say goodbye to David. But everyone who seems to know about this seems to be querying whether Keir Starmer is telling us the truth or not.
That is exactly what we've got to do. We've got to clarify this. So in terms of National Security Council, Jonathan Powell is the National Security Advisor and chairs the National Security Council. So the context, really, we've got to approach this from really that what Dr. Fiona Hill, General Sir Richard Barrons, and
don't worry about the name. Carry on.
They're saying that we're at war with Russia. Okay.
Yeah.
So that in terms of the general context. So what on earth is going on with this? That we've had some sort of a bureaucratic kerfuffle that we're not designating China as a national security risk. All of these matters fall within Jonathan Powell's remit and
as
desk
the National
Security Council.
Yeah.
So we've really got to what national security. And I'd like to I was going to come at it from a different angle, but your previous guest has highlighted something very significant with India and Starmer being over there with India at the moment. So currently we've got a problem with by a proxy through India buying Russian oil that they're happy to do. With India has strategically partnered militarily with Russia for quite some time and has even partnered to build strategic nuclear submarines and ballistic submarines and all the rest of it that goes with it. So this digital ID thing is it does dovetail into this argument very well, because we're not conducting border control, and we've got to say, Julia, what national security at the moment. But what they're wanting to do with the digital thing is we're going to have digital administrative personal border. Heaven
David,
forbid.
I am so sorry, genuinely. We are going so off track. Can we please... The story is complicated enough as it is. David, stop just 1 second.
It is. What I'm suggesting is...
David, please, can you stop 1 second? Can we just stick to the subject at hand? We've got the Prime Minister saying, it's not my fault, Governor. I couldn't do anything. The law was the law when these men were charged with these alleged crimes, which they deny. Everybody else who seems to know about this subject is saying, that's not true. China was designated a hostile nation state. There are statements in Parliament, the former Security Minister, Tom Tugendhat, and others during the Tory time, that they are saying that. So is Keir Starmer lying to us when he says that it's nothing to do with him, Gov? Or is the current Director of Public Prosecutions, is this Simon Case, the former Cabinet Secretary, are they all lying to us when they say, well, no, actually, the Prime Minister's not being entirely straightforward?
I think this intervention by Simon Case is very significant. I would submit that the challenging has got to go between the Prime Minister for telling the truth and Jonathan Powell, the National Security Advisor, for telling the truth. Now, where Powell is concerned, he's refusing currently, Julia, to go before Parliament and answer questions. So if you wanted to ask him some questions via your MP, or the MPs on the select committee want to ask Jonathan Powell some questions, they can't because he's refusing to go. So what I'm going to submit really is this. It was put to me by a top government source recently that we do not have national security in the UK. We have something much more dangerous. We have currently the illusion of national security, Julia, and that is in the context of war, from the two people that have just written our defence review. And we've got the former head of MI5, Manning and Buller, saying that she thinks we're at war as well. So this is no way to be conducting business where we've got a grey area there between the Prime Minister, who's heading everything up, and the National Security Advisor. This is unacceptable.
Yeah.
They've got to come clean. This is really, really serious.
Well, the trouble with this is it's a very complicated story. It involves a lot of names, a lot of people haven't heard of, but we are talking about, you know, an enemy state, a hostile nation state, and our Prime Minister appearing, and his, according to many of the people who are talking about this, and his National Security Advisor, basically putting what they believe is an economic deal ahead of our national security. But, you know, national security and economics can sometimes collide, and I think most of us have a priority for national security. David, we'll have to leave that there. I won't say what your job title is, and other than you are currently the Director of Strategic Defence Initiatives UK, David Blackall, because there's a lot of confusion, because you did confirm what your job title had been to us before we got you on air. But David, I so appreciate your time. Thank you. Benedict Spence, listening to all of that,
yeah.
What do you make?
I'm not going to say that the Prime Minister is a liar. I am going to say that his record on telling the truth is not the best. But I would also say that his record on being competent is not the best. It is entirely possible that what could be attributed to maliciousness is simply idiocy.
Often is incompetence in all governments.
And I think that there is, genuinely, you could toss a coin and go, are they just misleading us, or are they just a bit chaotic?
I do think it's really weird. You've got a former Director of Public Prosecutions and the Prime Minister and the current one at loggerheads over this. And the thing is, this story is very complicated.
Yeah,
it involves a spy trial. No one's, quite sure the details, who are all these people. And it gets complicated. But there are some people, who are saying this could be the end of Keir Starmer's career. Some of the things he said, if he said them in Parliament, and that was proven to be a lie, he would have to resign as Prime Minister.
He would, absolutely. And I would simply say, look to the Chagos Islands as the example and follow on from there and make your own conclusions.
I'm thinking we're in traitorous, treasonous territory. I really do think we are.